This video will deal with types and functions of intermediaries. Intermediaries are specialists in selling products. They come in between. They come in between the producer and the customer. So they're intermediaries. They're in between. They have the right contacts, experience and knowledge, and operations within the field. So specialists in the sense that they know the market, they know what customers' requirements are, they know what price to charge, they know what the competitors are doing, they know the various strategies being pursued by the producers. They are experts within their area, or they should be experts within their area. They have the right contacts, they know who to contact to make sales. They have experience, knowledge, and they understand the operations of the selling process from producer to customer. There are different types of intermediaries a producer can select, and that's really what we're going to deal with in this video. We're going to look at different types and what they do and the issues that they confront. So let's start by looking at the role of intermediaries. First of all, intermediaries, they break bulk. Now, by that we mean that the producer, let's say it's the producer is making a physical product. So we're dealing here with products coming off a production line. Generally speaking, the producers will tool up and make many products and then sell the products to an intermediary who will break that consignment into smaller units and perhaps sell on the smaller units to different intermediaries. So for example, a warehouse may buy a large number of items from a given producer and then break up that consignment into smaller units and sell those smaller units to retailers. So it's breaking bulk. So they buy from manufacturers in a large quantity because the manufacturers find it efficient to tool up and produce perhaps in a large quantity. And then they distribute the goods to customers in smaller volumes. They may go directly to the customers from the warehouse, or generally speaking they may go to retailers from the warehouse. Manufacturers benefit since they're able to produce in larger quantities and therefore be more efficient in production, less changing over the machines and less changing the raw materials. So the producers benefit by being able to produce in bulk and then pass it to the intermediaries, let's say to a warehouse, who can then break it up into smaller amounts. There are different types of intermediaries. I keep talking about the warehouse, but I suppose these are a dominant form. This is one form with which we're all familiar. So the warehouse breaks up the consignment and sells it on in smaller quantities. Now, specialization. Well, most intermediaries specialize in distributing a specific product. So intermediaries may have specialism within the market. They may specialize in fabrics or clothing. They may specialize in foodstuffs. They may specialize in kitchenware. They may specialize in toys for children. Intermediaries tend to build up specialisms and expertise in particular areas, and they deal with specialist producers because in that way they get to know the market, they get to know who's in the market, to build up their contacts, to build up their experiences, and they know what the trends are within the market. And they have an opportunity to develop economies of scale to the distribution channel because they have they're able to buy in bulk from the producers and then optimize the use of their distribution channels because they have capacity, they've bought in bulk, they've got capacity, they can now allocate out the product to the various distribution channels that they use, to retailers, perhaps on the internet or directly to customers, in the various channels that they use, they're able to optimize their use of distribution, logistics, transport, or whatever you want to say. They're able to minimize the paperwork. So they have got advantages because they're specialists. They've also got transactional efficiency. Intermediaries bring together a range of products from different manufacturers to satisfy the end consumer. So they're able to prepare documentation, and they're able to transact very efficiently. They have an expertise in doing it. They know who they're dealing with. They're able to iron out any problems very efficiently. And they're able to pass from the producer to the market in a very efficient format. The transactions are run smoothly because of the experience and the specialization they're able to bring to bear on the situation. So they know what the paperwork should be, they know who they're dealing with, perhaps in the offices, just in case something goes wrong. They have got good communications throughout the whole system. So it's a very efficient form of dealing. It reduces the number of transactions necessary to transfer goods from producer to customer. If the producer was trying to sell directly to the public, it'll have to maintain its own detailed distribution center, its own sales team who will deal with the customers and deal with returns and after sales service and deal with many issues that will arise out of direct selling. This approach, using an intermediary, uses the facilities of the intermediary as well. They're able to be the first line of call. If there is an issue with the product, the intermediary is the one who will be contacted first, and they will try to resolve the issue. If they can't, it'll go back to the producer. But transactions run smoothly because of the existence of the intermediaries. Now, the types of intermediaries, well, agents. Now, we don't often think about agents, but agents are intermediaries. They don't own the good. They don't buy the good, but they take commission on sales, and they negotiate the sales with third parties. So the intermediaries find buyers, negotiate with the buyers, and take a commission. But the agents themselves do not own the goods. They just simply negotiate with buyers. When they've done a deal and a contract is signed, the company will then dispatch to the third party, to the purchaser, and pay the agent the commission. This mainly occurs in international markets. Agents are very popular when dealing with international markets. Companies have agents in different parts of the world, and the agents will be trying to promote sales in those parts of the world because they want to get the commission. So they're trying to promote sales of the product. The agents, as I said, do not own the product. They don't import the product and wait for it to get sales. They get the sales, they arrange the contracts, and when all is done and the product is then produced and shipped and sold, they will receive a commission. Generally speaking, agents are difficult to train and hard to take control of due to minimal physical contact. Sometimes, as I said, they're working in different countries. The companies don't often get to see them. It's difficult to train them. And there are all sorts of issues, cultural issues, language issues, commercial practices are different. So there are many issues that the agent must encounter, and the companies find it difficult to deal with the agent for exactly the same reasons. The companies may not completely understand the agent. What the company is interested primarily in is sales, and if the agent can get the sales, the agent will get a commission. There's also a broker, again something we don't often think about in the context of intermediaries. Brokers are involved in negotiating specific deals between buyers and sellers. So brokers, these ones, they do particular deals. They have a short-term relationship with the buyers and the sellers. They also act as agents and take commission on sales. So brokers and agents they can be the same. They can overlap. Or it may be that the brokers simply negotiate deals. The buyers and sellers are found. Perhaps an agent could find the buyers, and the agent represents a company in a different country, but now they found buyers in their country. But there's an issue. There are problems about the price, problems about delivery, about the specifications, or whatever there is. There are problems, let's say. In that case, a specialist broker may be engaged to do the negotiations. The broker will try to intermediate, try to find common ground, find a solution. So the broker is the negotiator. But as I said, the broker could be the agent. There's no reason why not. The agent finds the buyers in their country and also negotiates with them and tries to make sure that the sale will go ahead because the buyers are satisfied. The broker has done the deal. The Internet. Well, the Internet operates in a large geographic market. The Internet it's almost boundless. There might be issues about exporting goods to certain countries or importing from certain countries and issues of that nature. But in terms of the Internet itself, its capability is immense. And as an intermediary, the use of the Internet is it enables the company almost to be its own intermediary. Its own marketing department can adopt the function of intermediary almost. It can find the buyers, it can negotiate with the buyers, so it acts as a type of broker, albeit from the company perspective, but it must try and close the deal, so it is acting like a broker. And instead of taking a commission, it enables the sales to go ahead, and of course secures its own future. But products reach a wider audience and a wider set of buyers through the Internet. There are low barriers to entry and setup costs in terms of the use of the Internet. It may involve setting up a website, which is not that expensive, buying perhaps space on a server that's provided by one of the big ISPs or one of the big internet companies. And of course e-commerce allows for easy distribution of goods. E-commerce specialist software will enable customers to buy directly from the producer. The website is established, they see the product, they're happy with the product, so they can just put it in a basket and make a payment, perhaps through some sort of banking system or PayPal, I should say, not ePal, PayPal or some other form of payment, and click a button and it'll be delivered. The company will deliver it to them. So the Internet becomes a sort of intermediary. It facilitates sales in the same way as an agent or a broker. It enables the sales to take place, and that's why it's included here. Then another type of intermediary is the wholesaler, one which we've talked about often as an example in other videos. Wholesalers stock a range of products from different producers. They buy in bulk and break down into smaller quantities for resale to the customer. So the wholesalers can place big orders and then break the orders into smaller quantities and sell them on. Small retailers haven't got the capacity to store large amounts, and they haven't got the resources to buy large amounts. So the wholesalers enable the sales by breaking the bulk, breaking the order, the original order, into smaller quantities, and thus enabling retailers perhaps to sell the product. Wholesalers take ownership of the product, and they also stock the product. So they're taking some risk, the wholesalers. They buy the product, so they own it, and if it doesn't sell, that's a risk they're taking. And they also have to stock the product. They have to allocate space in their stores to stock the product. Again, there's an element of cost involved, and handling costs, moving it and breaking the quantities, and also the paperwork associated with all of that. So there are costs, and therefore there are risks involved in holding this particular stock and in engaging in that type of trade. But that's what the wholesalers do. They have good knowledge of the market, and they try not to make mistakes. They buy goods which they think will sell. They reduce the contact between the producer and the consumer. As I said earlier, if the customer has an issue with the product, they tend to go back to the wholesaler. That's where they bought the product. So they go back and complain to the wholesaler. The wholesaler will try to reconcile the issue and try to deal with the problem. If it can't, it may go back then to the producer. So to some extent, the wholesaler is doing the after-sales service, the customer relations part of the job for the producer. So the producer benefits from that. And then retailers. These are in charge of selling products and services to the end customer. The retailers are the shops, perhaps, or the outlets that sell directly to the end customer. Generally speaking, they stock a wide range of products. So if it's a clothing shop, they will have many different items of clothing from different producers, generally speaking. The retailers tend to be specialists. There tends to be clothing shops or food shops or electrical shops. So they have got themes. Generally speaking, we don't get electrical shops selling food as well. There might be very small outlets who are hoping to make sales by just having everything in their shop, but they tend to be the low-end shops, the non-branded shops. So generally speaking, the shops tend to be specialists. They hold a wide range of products within that category. And of course, they take ownership of the product, and they decide the selling price to the customer. When they stock the product, they have to buy it. They buy it, generally speaking, off the wholesaler, but they have to buy it, so they're taking a risk if the product will sell or not. And they are deciding on the price to charge. So they are determining their own markup, which must be set with their overheads in mind, and with the operating costs, and with their own profit margins, what they require as a return for their effort. So retailers are taking risk. And as I said, they can be a brand in themselves. I was suggesting this earlier, that electrical shops, for example, are different from clothing shops. But we do get clothing shops who are very important, who have established a name for themselves. In the UK, we have Next, and we have the Next brand. It's a reputable brand, and people desire their products. So the retailer, Next, is the brand. In electrical goods, we could have PC World and Currys in the UK, or Maplin. We have various names that we associate, and we know that if we talk about PC World, well, the name sort of suggests what they do. They sell PCs, but it's a brand, and it's a trusted brand because they themselves take all the care and attention to make it a reputable brand and make sales based on quality and competitiveness and so on. So the retailers become a brand in their own right. Not all, of course, but many, the big ones do. So we have to look at the type of goods being sold. If it's a highly specialist good, or if it's a more generic good. Food shopping, for example, tends to hold many different items and many different products. That's because customers, when they go there, they don't just go to buy one product, they go perhaps to do their weekly shopping, and they want a variety of products. The type of service being offered by retailers. So what do the retailers do? They sell the product, but they don't really deal an awful lot with customers other than that. They sell the product, they facilitate the purchase of the product. But other than that, they don't do an awful lot with the customer. The main parts of contact with the customer will be through the marketing departments of even the wholesalers, or in particular the producers, who will try to promote the interest of the product in the marketplace. Need to look at the size and location of the stores, and the size and location will be perhaps symptomatic of the importance of the particular retail outlet. When stores are large and very elaborate, it flags up that this is a very well-established business, well-funded, good history, offering a reliable service and a reliable product. That's what the big statements that come from big establishments. Whether it's true or not, but that's what we feel. And the location of the store. If it's convenient, if it's on the high street, it's more expensive. If it's on a back street somewhere, it's not that expensive. So there's lower rates, lower property prices on the back street, so it's a cheaper location, and that means the retailer itself may be slightly pushed for money. They may have to economize. There's the issue of ownership and brand awareness. The retailers own the product, and they will try to stock good brands because that will promote their sales. But they themselves are trying to create a brand, as I said earlier as well. They're trying to create a brand of their own, a brand which has particular attributes which will be attractive to the customer. It may be based on the price of the products. For example, in the UK, we have low-cost outlets such as Aldi and Lidl. They're carving out a niche based on price, perhaps, but eventually I suspect that they will become more given over to promoting the quality side of their products, as indeed they are currently. And also we've got brand awareness in terms of the large outlets that I mentioned earlier, Next and Marks and Spencer's and so on, who are promoting themselves. They are the brand, even though they are selling items bought in from other producers. Now, the implications of intermediaries, well, the company's current financial position will be determined by the intermediaries, by the efficiency with which the intermediaries pay, the quantities they buy off the company, the feedback that they give to the company, which may determine future development of the product, whether that feedback is accurate and whether it's reliable. So the current financial position of the company will be determined by a lot of what comes back from the intermediaries. But certainly in terms of cash flow, it's important that the company receives timely returns on what it delivers to the intermediaries. It's important that the sales go through in an efficient manner to enable the company to continue to function. There's also the range of lines carried. Intermediaries may be limited in their capacity to hold many different lines, and they will be selling output from many different producers, the chances are. So therefore, they may be reluctant to take on extra lines. So if a company is developing a new product, it'll have to negotiate hard with intermediaries for them to stock the product, for them to take it on board. They may not have the physical capacity within their own stores, or they may not feel that the product is well established and is therefore risky to buy. So the range of lines carried will also have to be negotiated. And marketing and sales promotion capability of the intermediaries will have to be looked at. Generally speaking, they rely on the company promoting its own product. But the intermediaries may want to do some sort of newsletter or some sort of brochure to its own customers, perhaps its retailers. And it may want some information to include in there, and it may want to fit into line with what the company wants to say about the product. But again, there's an issue of communications and making sure that both the intermediary and the producer are singing from the same proverbial hymn sheet. The company's ordering process and order fulfilling policies need also to be looked at to make sure that the company is able to take orders efficiently, there's clarity about the orders, there's no ambiguity, and that contracts could be issued if need be, legal contracts which will guarantee the sales will go through. It may alternatively be based on recognition of the relationship between the intermediary and the producer. So for example, the intermediary is well established in the market, a long history of trading with the company, and has got efficient dealings with the company in terms of both ordering and payment. But likewise, the company has a long history with the intermediary, and the company will make a quality product and deliver it on time according to the agreements that were reached during the ordering phase. So if the warehouse, let's say, wants a bulk delivery on a certain day, the company will try to facilitate that and deliver on that day. The reputation of the company within the market is very important. It's not just for the overall marketing of the product, but also for the ease with which the intermediaries can deal with the company. If they're dealing with a reputable company, a reputable product, well established, innovative, good quality, meets customers' needs, then the intermediaries will have confidence in the product and they will be prepared to place more orders for it because they know the customers will buy it. They feel confident that the customers will want that product, and they will then set about placing orders and holding a stock of the product. So the reputation of the company is very important in the context of winning orders from the intermediaries. So it's in the interest of the company to make sure that the product is good quality, meets customers' needs, and meets the wider objectives that's required of companies nowadays in terms of its obligations to its stakeholders and its green credentials and so on. So those are the types of intermediaries that we can identify, and those are their requirements and some of their attributes. And that's really all we need to do on this particular topic. So let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.